morning, everybody. Welcome to the Cam and Joe Show. This is episode 16. Good morning, my man.
Morning, man. How are you?
I'm very well. And yourself?
I'm waking up.
Happy Friday, the first day of March. What did you do with your bonus day? Yesterday was February 29th. It's rare we get those.
I filmed. Hey, your mother actually had a birthday, too, by the way. Isn't she born on the 29th?
My mother was born in October. I'm telling my mom that
Seriously?
you don't know her birthday.
She told me that she was born on the 29th.
She was just trying to get two presents, man.
You know what? That makes sense.
Let's look back and let's do a quick little recap on February, on Love Month.
Yeah.
We had our two friends in here, Angela Gomer.
Yep.
And Larissa Childers in here. Two incredible women talked about the need for therapy,
Yep.
why therapy is a thing, how they impact local families. That was incredible. And then back on the topic of love, we started to talk more about identity,
100%.
Relationships,
Absolutely.
and then what are some of those topics that can help a relationship and some of those topics that can hinder a relationship.
Yep.
We loosely kind of started to talk about technology and the leaning into
Dating
social media and dating apps.
Absolutely.
And how technology has kind of started to take over that space.
Sure.
Which technology in general is not a bad thing.
No, not at
right?
all.
I mean, it's allowing people to live longer and
100%.
so on and so forth, and bring internet access to parts of the world that have never been reached before, which helps with education.
Oh,
and
huge, yeah.
water, sanitation, and everything. Right?
Yeah.
Incredible tool when in the right hands and when used for appropriate purposes. Right?
Oh,
but like
absolutely.
anything, it can be abused.
Yeah.
Today we have the opportunity. Someone whistling?
I'm
Yeah,
going
there's
to
someone-
find I'm going to
outside.
end them. I'm kidding.
I was like, that was a fun little off script.
All right,
Like,
go ahead.
Like I hear whistling.
Yeah.
The leaning into tech.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, we're now into 2024. It's all around us. Smartphones, from
Yeah.
TVs to internet and everything. It's up streaming to Alexa, and there's so many parts of our lives now that are automated.
Absolutely.
Right. A good thing, to an extent. Where in your mind
Yeah.
does the perk and the benefit, if we're going to talk a little bit about tech
Sure.
today, I think
yeah,
it's a great opportunity to do so leading
yeah.
into March. Where is your threshold on
Yeah.
when does it become a little excessive?
Okay, so as a video guy,
Yeah.
as a tech
and
guy,
you are more of a tech
I
guy
am.
of the two?
That's all I do, man. So literally, video production, audio production, photography, graphic
Everything.
designing, all that stuff. So when you start really getting into technology, there's that amount of like for example, I'm producing a play coming up, Princess Bride. I'm using AI generated images for the backgrounds.
That's awesome.
Okay,
And I
like,
wouldn't even know where to start. I love that.
right, and it's like, oh, why would that be a thing? I think that we can look at anything as a negative for what it is.
Sure.
I think the biggest concern that people talk about when you're talking about AI is who wrote the code
Yeah.
for the AI.
Yeah.
That's a valid thing. Anybody
Exactly.
would be concerned.
Correct.
If you put a bunch of, I don't know, we'll say anti-Semitic people,
Sure.
and they wrote code about AI, it's going to be anti-Semitic because
Correct.
the code that they wrote
Because
reflects
it's
the
not
individual
an actual thought. It is a product of the code that was written.
by those people, and
those
they have
individuals.
we all have natural biases. I have my own natural
Correct.
biases, and that is not an offensive thing. It's like, no, I'm biased because of who I am.
Yeah, you're biased against me. Like I've always wanted to progress our friendship a little bit more, and you've always kind of kept me in that top 4 or 5 friends. Not like a.
Yeah,
It's okay.
It's like
I'm gonna
favorites.
cry later off camera.
it's like that episode of Seinfeld. It's
later.
like speed dial. It's like,
Yep.
oh, how did I get on the speed dial so fast?
Exactly.
It's like you're not even on my top.
You're not on the top.
One day you'll get there. Yeah, I think that. Well, I mean, let's just pull back and look over the last couple of years. This is what I like to do with technology. I like to look at how we've advanced
Yeah.
and see if it's better. Okay.
Yeah.
Uber. Before it was taxi drivers. So you're looking at like 7 years, 8 years. Uber is new. Like
Yeah.
it just started
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah.
So you're looking at like, oh, okay, so I would have to find a guy in a yellow taxi cab, hope that they knew where they were going.
Hope
pay
you
the
know how
money.
to.
Yeah.
Hope you know how to whistle.
And then
all bad.
it wasn't accessible everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there weren't taxi cabs everywhere. It was in big places. And
Yep.
so if you're in a small town, you couldn't get a taxi lift.
Try to get a buddy.
So then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, what if you could use your car that you already have and now you could make money? So say you have a short day and you're working 4 hours, but you've got a couple extra hours to kill. You got nothing else to do.
Yep.
You could actually turn on, bink, I'm now a driver.
Yep.
That's incredible.
The ability to get somebody from A to B and the ability to generate income Wonderful.
I remember having the
Wonderful utilization.
Yeah. I remember having the conversation when I was at the hospital of going, I'm going to open a coffee shop. They're like, really? I said, yeah, and we're going to deliver coffee. And they're like, why would you deliver coffee? You make it right there. I said, it's going to be a big business. I said, you don't understand. Food is going to start being delivered by restaurants like pizza everywhere. And they're like, it's not going to be a thing. 4 years later, 4 years later from that conversation,
buddy,
everything blew up. And I went, okay. And I knew it. It was only a matter of time.
Hannah and I saw it last night when we had groceries delivered to the house.
Yeah.
And we took pause for a second because Beckham, instead of saying, "Oh, what did we get from the store?" he said, "Oh, Mama, what was on your grocery order?" I was like,
"Oh,"
I was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
But that's the world that they're growing up in, which is obviously not a world that we grew up in.
Not
which
at all.
The world that the generations prior grew up in. So as things continue to evolve, I think one of my biggest questions is where's
the line?
Yeah, where's the line?
I think that we haven't found the line yet.
Yeah.
And let me kind of get into that. So I think that we have been doing jobs that waste our time for a very long time.
Yeah.
Okay. So like we always say, family's the most important thing.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Period.
Right? So if I can have more time with my family, that's better.
Yeah.
If you can have more time with community, that's better.
Yeah.
How many times you're doing something, oh, I forgot something, I got to go to the store.
Yeah.
There's already people there at the house. You're like, okay, so you leave 10 minutes to the store, 10 minutes in the store, 10 minutes back. It's 30 minutes. Now you can still hang out with people and go, oh, yeah, it's on its way. It'll be here. And now you're still having that moment. You're still spending time.
Absolutely.
But that is because you're already grounded with community. So this is where I see the conversation really starting. If you're not grounded in community already, and you're isolating off by yourself, it's so easy to isolate yourself.
Correct.
Because now you can get the dopamine hit of being with people without being with people.
Yep.
You can.
Oh, my comment has 30 likes in 20 seconds. Dopamine. Yep.
I can play a video game and listen. I don't know if you're not in the video game stuff as much, but there's this thing called Discord. Have you ever heard of Discord?
I have.
Okay. You can go on there and go, oh, what Discord would I like to join today? Find a new video game and 3,000 people. You can literally be talking with 3,000 new people that you've never met from around the world and have conversations.
Yeah.
I didn't do that growing up. So there's this part of me that I'm hesitant about that. But I know people that becomes their oh, man, I was talking to a guy from Germany. He's so cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa. And then there's this old man in me going,
What?
You've never met him. How do you know he's good?
How do you know he's good? But, looks can be deceiving, right?
So, but then then they're literally socializing while playing games.
Yeah.
And now, and so.
And that right there is a paradigm shift, man.
Huge.
'Cause it's like, God, I'm thinking about, we grew up in the, hey, don't get on the phone. I'm trying to get on the internet.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God.
That was our era. And like MSN Messenger.
Yep.
Like that was us.
Yep.
And we were like, we were taught, hey, don't believe, you have to be completely cognizant of, do you know this person in real life? Because they could, and mind you, that could still happen. Very much
for
still
sure.
happens.
Well,
The
there's whole shows.
predatory nature very much still out there.
Catfishing
right?
is amazing.
Exactly. But that said, it's now, that's the paradigm shift. It's no longer like, well, make sure you know them in real life. It's like, well, how am I going to get to know this guy in Romania in real life? We're chatting live over a game. And there's just mom, dad, there's no real way to do that.
And the only factors in that
scary, but
and the only factors in that game are very simple.
Yeah.
Does he know the game? Yeah. Cool. That's it. And most people that are doing that, they don't open too much up about personal stuff because they don't know you, right? It's just like anything. And so there's that amount of verbal relationships and how things have changed and adapted over time. It's difficult for us to go, it's evil.
Yeah.
When we're like, my kid's been playing video games for 10 hours. Okay. Was he on Discord? Yeah. All right. He was socializing. You went to somewhere the other day and hung out with your girlfriends for X amount of time. Is that
different generation?
Well, no, that's different. Actually, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. They're still getting that social
it's wild, man.
element. And so it's difficult. It's kind of a difficult thing because we're of the age, we're in the middle.
And the generation above ours will lean more into the whoa, but the generation below ours will be like, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's where we're headed.
It's exactly where we're headed. So. I think the only thing that ever puts me in pause is the moral compass thing.
Yeah.
Because you have the people that are writing the code and doing the things. Again, you don't know who's there. But when you're playing a game, it's fine. But You also have to think about if you're a good parent and you know what your kids are doing. Like, let's say they're playing a video game. If your kid's playing like Mario and he's talking with somebody online, chances are high it's probably going to be a kid because that's a kid's game. Now, I'm an adult who loves Mario and I play it, but I don't chat with children. So I'm like, that's not me a thing. So if you hear an adult talking to a kid playing Mario, you're going to be a little, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But if you're
or if you were to grab the headset and your son is playing Mario, and you hear on the other line a grown man and be like, hello, can I help you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
right?
Your spidey senses are going to...
But that still involves you being a parent.
Sure.
Like, that doesn't negate that. But if you're letting your kid play Grand Theft Auto and he's 7 years old...
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it says on there, mature, for very vast reasons.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're wondering why he's learning all these new words, learning all these...
Dude, what do you expect?
Okay, so I don't think you know this. I worked at GameStop for like a one holiday season.
Yeah.
They asked me to.
Yeah.
So I was in there and I like to nerd out with people. Yeah. And so what's a better place than to go with other nerds?
Yep.
So I was looking at some games and I started talking with a guy. Well, we started making jokes and he goes, you own that coffee shop, right? I said, yeah. And he goes, dude, I know you're like probably really busy. You want like a job? And I laughed and went, nah, I'm good, man. Yeah. He goes, no, dude, no, this is amazing. You just work Black Friday. You're closed on Black Friday, right? He said, yeah. And he goes, if you work Black Friday, you just talk with people like you're talking with me. Mm-hmm. You'll get, whatever, minimum wage, but you'll get 25% off. You'll get 25% off as an employee discount. And then there's a day where we all get an extra 15% off. Nice. So if there's any Christmas gifts you want to get, you're going to get 40% off. And we're looking at $500, $600 items. So I was like,
deal.
Done.
I know what I'm doing on Black Friday.
So I did it. Nice. And so I got to talk.
How was that?
It was...
Was that wild?
It was more eye-opening than anything.
Sure.
Because you're looking at, like, again, technology. I'm in it. And I'm having parents go, hey, my kid really likes this. So I'd have parents go, oh, my kids love... my kids love Mortal Kombat.
Sure.
My kids love Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
BioShock.
Yeah.
Like very intense graphic.
What's the next? Yeah.
I said, awesome. Okay.
If we're along those lines.
And so I'm looking around and I'm like, I would, why not this game? And I hand it to them and they're like, oh, cool. And they would hand it to their 6-year-old. That the game you're looking for? Yeah, that looks fun. And I'm like,
oh, I thought you were talking about for yourself.
And I had one parent go, yeah. And so I started going through games and he's just like, oh, yeah, I don't. Yeah, and looks over at his 7-year-old and goes, what kind of games do you like? He goes, the more violent, the better. I like to see boom, 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 boom. I want to see him get destroyed, ripped up. I like Mortal Kombat and all this stuff. And I was like, oh. And so I picked the most.
Oh.
So I literally
Let's put him on watch.
So this is probably a bad thing on me. I was so pissed. I grabbed the most awful game I knew.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, your kid will love this.
Here's the one. Later.
To her. She goes, oh, perfect. He goes, I wanted to play that and walked away. And my soul was crushed.
What did you set them up with?
I don't remember.
This is the worst game.
I don't remember. It was pretty violent, though. I think here's the thing. We're men. Like, I don't mind violence. I don't mind, like, Gladiator. We talk about movies.
Yeah.
Violent movies is a big thing.
Yeah.
Video games, I don't think, curve any of that. But I think the big problem, again, is
demographic
what
age.
Too. Yeah. Like, my kid's 10, and I just started him into more teen games. And I stick with those boundaries to protect them.
Yeah.
Because
but we live in a society with no boundaries, and we live in a society where instead of we were talking about this the other day, instead of in generations prior, the kids looked up to mom and dad and praised the parents.
Yeah,
it's now reversed.
Yep,
and the parents look down and praise the kid, and the kid is on the pedestal, and everything the kid needs is addressed
100%,
and it's no longer about mom and dad and their kids. It's about the kids. Oh, and then there's mom and dad. So the more catered we go to the generation below us from a parental standpoint.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's a slippery slope because the second that 7-year-old, stay with me here, is no longer satiated by watching violence.
Yeah.
The next step is for him to participate. In it.
I think but I think
scary.
I think and yes, on that train of thought, but I also do think there is that amount of separation of real to fake. We're getting to the point where that's getting blurred really fast, right? And that's when we're going to start having to ask more moral because you can see a video game and this is a video game, and you can.
But that line is.
Oh no, we're crossing it.
Thinning.
Well, I think everyone talks about the future, and everyone's like, yeah, we're going to live in a post-apocalyptic, it's going to be yada, yada. And I love how people are so doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Probably the most realistic version of the future is from the movie Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Because
plugged in.
Everyone's
Plugged in. No one's worried about real life. Everybody's more focused on.
But then there's still board meetings happening. There's still businesses operating. They're still trying to sell to you.
Yeah.
Just people stop caring about the real world, so it looks a little dirtier.
Yeah.
It looks a little less because people just don't care anymore.
Yeah. Ready Player One is it's a super fun movie.
Yeah, I showed it.
Great score.
I showed it to my kiddos.
I love all the nods to like all the old movies, The Shining and King Kong and everything. I'm like, oh my god, this is so good.
Oh, it's such a happy
good. I was like, baby, and like she's like, that's one. I think I literally saw that by myself at the movie theater, which is like a dark passion of mine. Like going, I got you,
bro.
Any nerdy movie that I'm like, Hannah's not gonna,
Come on, this is my existence. I go, hey,
you
Gina.
were ready for that call. You were ready for
I was like,
call.
maybe Cameron will call me, and I stood up and stared at my phone for 3 weeks. He's gonna call. He's gonna call.
It's not true. Sorry, Regina. I apologize.
He's been mopey.
From an AI, let's go into AI. AI side of tech. So I love that. I love that I can wake up in the morning. Like this morning, I woke up. I love hearing worship music in the morning.
Oh sure, yeah.
Sets the tone for the day.
Absolutely.
And woke up and I said, Alexa, play Hillsong United mix, and then she's kind of started rolling. You couldn't do that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Not at all.
The negatives now, I don't know if like I need to update my Alexa every evening around 6 or 6:30.
Yeah.
Without being spoken to.
Yeah.
She just says, time for the survey of the day. And we're just like, Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. And then she's like, thank you for taking a survey. And it's just like, who, like, what? And like right now I keep saying she, which is a weird personification, of a non.
What's the movie Her?
Yeah, exactly. Or Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, you start to thin the line to where the line doesn't exist between human interaction and the personification of an object. I mean, call it like it is.
Sure.
That's what it is.
Oh, 100%.
But as society continues to develop, are we to a point now where there's no retreat? Is there no? I don't think so, because now that we've gotten used to saying, ooh, Alexa, order me that extra dozen thing of eggs, some supercomputer somewhere now knows our dietary nutrition, our diets, our sleep schedules, our day to day.
Yep.
In my opinion, it's a good thing. Like, for instance, I love the other day, before we flew to Disneyland, I love that my phone, through Google, reminded me to log into Southwest and book our flights.
Which is amazing.
Or not book our...
But to verify them.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, man, that was helpful. Yeah. My little Google Assistant, right? So that's great. And the other day, like right before Hannah and I, we went to a Kings game, got a Google Assistant that lets me know which parking garage in Sacramento is already at capacity and which one is not.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I'm not driving up and down J Street like, well, J Street's one way. Don't drive the wrong way on J Street.
Yep.
I'm not driving around downtown Sacramento right before Kings game trying to find a parking garage.
No, it's much easier. Yeah.
So those tools are incredible. Give me a scenario where we start to thin that line out to I'm a scary place.
And so this is actually a lot of fun. Okay. So we've been in a scary place for a long time, but let me just explain. I'm going to break your brain a little bit.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So, for example, I worked at the hospital. One of the guys I worked with was he was a genius, actually.
Yeah.
He graduated the nursing academy by the age of 19.
Nice.
He graduated high school by the age of 16.
Wow,
and he wrote the code for all the medical software they were using at the hospital.
Wow.
So,
One
of those guys. And so he didn't write all of it by himself. Of course, he was part of a team.
Yeah.
But just having conversations, I got to have hours of conversations with this guy. And I had to learn. And it really pulled the glasses off. And so when people start talking about, oh, your information privacy is so important.
Mm-hmm. You're like,
Let me explain something to you. Google is a window. Okay? It's a window or a door that you go into. And Google has all these servers with information. Now, every door, there's a back door. You're going into Google's house. There's an access point in the back that you can access all that information at any point you want to. Now, the reason that most people don't is called hacking, right? But there's this thing called the black web or the dark web. You ever heard of the dark web? Okay, well, that is a parallel realm that exists that has the information flowing in and out of it. Okay, which means if I were to go on the black web and type in Cameron Elkins, I would find out where you went to school, your social security number, your name, who you're married to, who you dated, every place that you, all your information, like that, done.
Wild.
And so when I love, people are like, oh, well, we need to be very safe on our information. I'm like, no, the only reason that you have your information safe on the internet and everything right now is because it's public domain. Public domain, there's public laws.
Correct.
Private information, there's private laws, right? So when people start accessing information and they start going in, all of your information isn't private. It's never been private.
Correct.
Okay? It just isn't.
Correct.
And if somebody wanted to, they could go in, find your name, find your bank accounts, find your social security, and like that, get that information. That terrifies people.
Correct.
The only reason that we don't is because as technology evolves, finding those people become easier to do.
Correct. And safeguarding against it becomes more mainstream.
So when I love people who are like, the government's got your information. I was like, everyone's got your information.
Yeah.
Like I right now.
That's where I lean into this mindset. If you have nothing to hide, what are you worried about?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, well, Alexa's tracking us.
And
are you somewhere where you shouldn't be?
One of my favorite memes, it's like 1950s, we could be wiretapped, or 1960s, we could be wiretapped. 2024. Hey, wiretap, what's a good recipe for brownies?
Exactly. No, seriously. They can track us. Google, where am I? My phone just kicked on.
She's like, oh, right here.
Right here. You are at the Cam and Joe Show, episode 16. I'm like, oh my
thank
God.
you. No, but I'm just saying, there's that amount if you want to be afraid. I mean, if you're looking at trying to find those things, like even with the reason that we work with, even banks that I work with now, most of them are digital banks, and they use the physical locations. I have zero overdraft charges. I have it's got this beautiful section to where now I'm not paying monthly to just access my money.
Yeah.
I have access to it. That would terrify people. Think about Venmo, Cash App, all those things. And people are like, oh.
I have to log into my debit account or my checking account? I'm like, It also makes your life easier. So when there's 20 people trying to split a bill, they're not like, oh, well, this credit card ends in 8372 and I bought the enchiladas. It's like, no, if somebody paid.
Yep.
Hey, I just sent you $20 in Cash App. Hey, I just Zelled you $20.
Exactly. And now it's happening there. Yeah. Right. And so that's what I'm saying. It's so easy for us to look at technology and make it the bad guy. Yeah. And it happens all the time. And they're like, oh, they have our information.
It's like anything, man.
And I'm like,
it's guns.
Yeah.
It's knives.
My gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
It's literally
everything.
Everything. Can be abused in the wrong hands.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do you keep it up? You can't. So you educate. You safeguard.
100%.
You make sure your kids know, hey, if we are, let's just say in a gaming space, or if we are gaming, or if you're ever online, and if you ever have spidey senses, or the God gave us spidey senses for a reason.
Oh, 100%.
If something doesn't feel right, the least bit, let me know.
It's clashing against you.
Let's have a conversation. Yeah. But before any parent can ever expect their kids to tell them about that, the parent has to establish that relationship with their kid, so their kid feels comfortable having that conversation in the first place.
But
keeping it to themselves.
What I would say is actually and here's the thing that we haven't figured out. Okay. So the light the light that comes off our devices naturally keeps our attention, right? And we go into this state of hypnosis. That's why time flies so fast. Yeah. I could be waiting in the DMV for 15 minutes, and that's 7 years.
Yeah. No, literally.
I have my phone out, and I could be in the middle of Facebook, or I could be in the middle of an ad, or I could be in the middle of
quick.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Oh, sorry, gotta go, right?
Yeah.
It's because it's time, and we don't want our time to be occupied by something we don't want. Correct. And so the media, and not media, but people are telling us this is what you want. And then we buy it, and they go, because you bought that, you may like this.
Yep.
Because you like that, you may like this.
Yep.
And then everyone goes, well, they're stalking me. You gave them your information when you downloaded the ad.
Exactly.
That 250-page disclaimer on Facebook that you clicked away.
Yeah.
That 500 page with Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
That all says.
I walked into REI. Why does my Facebook just keep showing me new tents and new lanterns? Well,
yeah,
because you used Google when you were driving around Roseville to get to REI.
So I look at
if
that.
If you use the tool, you're opening the door. So don't be frightened by what comes out of the door.
But again, it's easy for us to have that conversation because we've grown in
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so we're at a point where we had no technology, and then cell phones in high school was.
And then we had the mom. I'm going to the mall. Can I borrow your phone? And it's like little leather and plastic cases.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Mom, hey, Chris and I are done at the arcade.
Yeah.
Or the hack was, if I didn't get her cell phone, 1-800-COLLECT.
Yeah.
Would you like to take a call from? We're at the mall, ready to go.
Love it.
Click, and then they'd meet us at the Strings exit.
That's perfect. But no, that's how it was, though, man.
The hacking of tech.
Well, and as things have adapted, everyone's like, oh, it's getting worse. Well, not necessarily, because I look at it going, okay, let's take AI for example. All right, we're going back into the AI thing. We're
going to Neuralink. We got to talk about Neuralink.
We'll hit Neuralink, but I want to hit this
madness.
first. I had 15 tech questions yesterday. Or not yesterday, last week, from different people because I'm a nerd. Mm-hmm. Hey, do you know
how loosely I just agreed? Sorry.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, it's like...
Because I'm a nerd, I'm like, yes. Sorry. I mean, no. My bad.
No, but I'll get questions from, hey, okay, my point of sale system isn't connecting to the internet properly.
Yeah. Clover.
Oh, well, not just necessarily me, but in general people. My point of sale isn't. And then I grab my phone. Hey, Google, point of sale issues, yada, 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 forum. Mm-hmm. Boom. Boop, boop,
troubleshoot.
Boop. Sent it. There was a light issue that happened. Lights were coming down and turning off every 5 minutes inside.
I remember seeing Regina's video on that.
So,
what was going on?
Yeah.
Breaker?
I just Googled it. Yeah, it was I electro-tested everything to make sure, and then I troubleshooted it, and then I had a friend come out to verify because I'm not an electrician.
Correct.
And he went, "Oh, it's a fuse."
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So we replaced it, moved on. But all of those things, Google was what I used, and I got a text. I got a text this morning. Hey, how do you do such and such? Hey, Google, how do you do such and such? Click, screenshot, send.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. I now spend less. I'm more effective, and I spend less time.
100%.
And so. Okay, let's get into AI replacing jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, let's legals. There are people that work at a law firm. Their whole job is to pre-read 250 or hundreds of pages and then make a form that has to be signed. And that has to be signed before the legal proceedings can continue. You now can tell AI, please create form, I don't even know the name of it, but T-234, subline, boom, 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 making it for you.
Yeah.
Here you go. Boom.
In the creative space, it's incredible. In the, hey, write this space.
Yeah.
From a real estate side.
It's genius.
2,800 square foot, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, nice yard. Plug that in to chat, and then boop, you get a 2-paragraph, welcome to this eloquent home that backs up to a and it's all AI. And you read it, you're like, man, that so-and-so agent really knows how to write an article. They're like, oh, no, that was ChatGPT. I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
Way to use a tool to help your client sell a house.
But what is that going to do? That's going to get rid of underwriters.
Yeah.
That's going to get rid of legal underwriter. Like, you're looking at jobs that we have.
Yeah.
No, but people go, well, that's bad. That's anti-American. Why? How we're getting rid of jobs? And I'm like, no, we're in growing pains.
Yeah.
Those jobs were wasteful.
Yeah.
We were wasting people's time.
Yeah.
And their potential to be so much more.
Yeah.
Than
That's
just
true.
a person reading those things.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not the one being eliminated because I'm self-employed.
Yeah.
I've been on this journey for 3 different businesses. I've been doing it for 6 years where I'm not working anything but for myself.
Yeah.
So I can look at it and go, this is incredible.
Yeah,
and other
this
people
is a
are
great
like,
tool.
but I could lose my job.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, well then what were you doing? Were you actually wasting your time? Mm-hmm. Was it more that you liked the paycheck consistency, but you weren't actually living?
I think it comes into a matter of what were you contributing and how are you contributing?
100%.
And there are whole fields of work.
Yep.
That over the next 100 to 200 years,
it's gonna be amazing.
Will come in and come out. I mean, look at the leaning into fracking and into coal and into energy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then, oh my gosh, wind is up and coming, wind energy. And then if they realize, okay, well, maybe that's not it. Then it dies down. Oh, it's solar. Oh, it's battery tech. Oh, it's coal again.
Yeah.
So we're always going to be leaning in and out. I mean, I'm thinking of the fitness industry. The fitness industry itself, the industry that I worked in before I got into lending, that has seen an incredible revolution to where there are more trainers now that are digital trainers than there are right there in person.
Yep.
And there's a time and place for both. Like, sure. I know that there will never be a digital version of somebody who can physically look at you directly in front of you, hold your hand and say, hey, I know that you have a hard relationship with food.
Exactly.
I know that when the lights are off and nobody's there, you're overeating. I understand that. Give me a hug. Let's talk about it. No app is going to do that. No. Not yet. No app is going to, but no, I doubt the app's ability in the future to be able to do that physically, right?
And even then, there's that programming that has to happen as a society. We have to be able to accept those things.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's like those little chips that you can put. I mean, we use them for dog tags. You use them in bank cards that you can scan.
Yep.
There's a huge thing where people actually download apps on their phone, and if they're nearby you by your bank card, they can suck all the money out of your bank. Because
I like to both went zoom at the same time.
Because we're cool like that. Sorry. Is this becoming ASMR?
It almost did.
But so that's how far we are. But because we have the safety mechanisms to do it, and I think if we've evolved too fast, okay, time out. Whoa, we need to take a break. We're in today's science experiment, and we won't have the answers for today until 10 years from now.
Yeah, or maybe a little bit longer.
And then we'll go, we shouldn't have done that. That is. Our whole generation is that.
Yeah.
Oh, technology's introduced.
Lab
Hopefully
rats.
it doesn't screw you over. Oh.
Best of luck. And they're like, ugh.
And they're like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be on the screen that much. Hey, we're actually going to put an app that actually tracks that now because apparently some people don't have lives, right?
Yeah.
But that is always the extremes. You have to deal with that. I mean, it's like alcohol in the 1920s. They're like, no, prohibition, alcohol's it's evil.
Yep.
It's stopping from families. We can't have this anymore.
Yep.
And then I love the quote from the main detective. Well, what happens when they legalize alcohol again? He goes, then I'll have a drink.
Yeah.
Right? This is what's good now, but tomorrow we're in ebbs and flows. Everything's changing, but the only things that don't change are the moral compass of how you operate.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to take advantage of the system as much as possible, and I'm a huge fan of taking advantage of the system, and you don't have the knowledge, maybe AI is a huge benefit for you.
Yeah.
But as soon as you go from taking advantage of a system to stealing from that system, now you've done a moral shift.
Yep, correct.
Right? And now it's that question that has to be asked. And AI will never ask you that question.
Correct.
Oh, I saw the worst. Correct. Have you heard any AI-generated songs?
No.
They're topping Billboard charts.
Oh, that's scary. Well, I know that. I mean, the lean into digital music has gone so far.
Oh, dude. So it's funny because people are like all the top, like there's a lot of top songs on like iTunes and stuff that are all AI generated. And it's like
I don't doubt it.
Johnny Cash singing with, I don't know,
Lady
Gaga.
Where they're taking oh, got it. You're taking the audio.
No, they're actually, but they
No, they're creating it. Yeah. Off of his voice.
Yes.
They're creating a new living version of Johnny Cash for audio.
And here's
that's wild.
And so even with the face swap.
That's wild.
So I don't know if you saw the new Flash movie they did, which is what sparked the SAG and the WGA strike. And that happened because they watched, there's a whole section at the end of the movie where it's showing all the different superheroes in all these different places. And it AI generated them doing things that they weren't signed on to do. And they never got permissions from the people to do it.
Wow.
And actors were going, whoa, you mean you didn't ask for my image and likeness? And some of them were dead, so they didn't ask the families. Even Nick Cage, he came in, he knew he was going to be a cameo in part of it. There's a whole Nick Cage Superman thing, which I don't know if you knew about that.
No.
In the 90s, he was supposed to play Superman.
Nice.
And there's a 50-minute documentary, The Superman That Never Was.
Got it.
Amazing.
Nice. I'm down because I love Nick Cage.
Oh, gosh, it's so funny. So, but to see him in the suits and stuff, in concept art.
Down. Yeah. No, thanks.
So he's in it, and so originally he was supposed to be in it for a second, and he went in and filmed something. There's an interview of him going, yeah, I went in, and I leaned in, and I pretended to fly, and I winked at the camera, and that was it. No, and this one, it shows him fighting a giant mechanical spider, shooting laser vision, and doing all this stuff. And he goes, yeah, I didn't do any of that. He goes, yeah, and they didn't ask my permission to change the scene, which normally they do. He's all, that was kind of a weird thing that they did.
Wow.
So we're at a point now, like
from the abuse of an employer's utilization of.
Somebody now could take our conversation, AI generate our faces, saying something awful.
Yeah.
And now
then
we have
rebroadcast
and then they get broadcast.
Look at the Cam and Joe show. Look what they just shot. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's principals at schools. This kid used AI to make the principal made it look like the security camera footage and made it look like the principal was sleeping with a prostitute on school campus and posted it online. Yeah, and they were like, what the heck? And the kid ended up getting in trouble. Of course he got in trouble.
Yeah.
But that guy, now everything was slandered. So we're at a point now, you can't trust everything you see.
Yeah.
You can't trust everything you hear.
Yeah.
You can't trust everything that you're around.
Yeah.
And that just...
Lord, give us better spidey senses. Sweet Jesus.
Because, I mean, it was so funny. I was on YouTube the other day, and I saw an ad pop up, and it was a Tucker Carlson ad. And he's just like, hey, I'm doing this really great fitness thing. And I was like... this is so fake because his face, it was a picture, and then his face was moving in a weird way.
Those are fun.
Oh.
Those are hilarious.
And I was like, but somebody bought that.
Oh, guaranteed.
Right?
Yeah.
We're no longer hearing the Siberian prince wants me.
Yeah, exactly. The Siberian prince, he's in love with me, and as soon as I send him money. 50 $30 Starbucks cards and $2,000 in Target cards, he's going to send me to... Yeah.
Now you can actually see the Siberian prince. He'll show you where you're going to live.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's going to be like, hey, this is
He will
really
ask for your hand in marriage live.
And you're going to be like, wow.
He's glorious.
It's just...
It's scary. I think at the end of the day, it's going to come back. Gosh, it's going to come back. like the interviews with the therapists, it's going to come back to boundaries. It's going to come back to spidey senses and having a moral compass on what feels right and what does not feel right. And the more that you allow yourself to lean into your own convictions and parent that way, then the better off we are as a society. But gosh, I pity the 7-year-old who was in GameStop and said, oh man, because where's that kid now at 11?
Yeah, I know.
Where's he going to be at 17?
I know.
Right? And that's no knock. Like I have my good buddy John, he's very into gaming. And I love him to death. Like one of my best friends.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a time and a place for gaming. There's a time and a place for boundaries.
Sure.
But those have to be established. You have to have a moral compass. You have to have a solid foundation. You have to know what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to differentiate between I am in a game, I'm in real life.
Yeah.
And how to treat people.
Well, it's even what is the new Apple goggles that came out? What was that? I think $4,000.
Oh man. Did you see the videos of people on this?
Oh my gosh.
There's like sitting in a train, it's like,
yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
And so much of this is how much of this is going to become socially acceptable.
That's Ready Player One right there.
It is 100%.
Crazy.
And that's the thing.
Wall-E.
How much of this is actually going to become socially acceptable and how much of this is them trying?
Yeah.
I mean, a perfect example is the metaverse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah. Buying up I just bought 3 acres of intellectual digital property. You're like, there's real estate to buy now in the metaverse? You're like, yep. You're like, what the yard look like? Like, what do you do? Yeah. What is this?
And well, it's so much so that they actually Congress voted on actually putting taxes on digital property.
Stop it.
No, I'm not kidding.
I don't doubt it.
That's a real thing. So it's like
it's insane.
It's for us to look at this world and go, oh, well, it's not. It is happening.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to look at it and say evil.
No,
I don't look at it and I say we're adapting.
No. Yeah, it's the same person that looks at a AR-15 that says that's evil. No.
Yeah.
That is just machined parts.
Yep.
The utilization of it can be evil.
And nothing will
or it could be for
good. And I think we're all thinking the Matrix, right? They're plugged into the machine. Okay, we're not to the point where you can't differentiate between reality and fiction. And guess what?
Yet.
Reality is always better.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
take a fishing game, for example. You're playing, you're like, oh man, it's bending. I'm really capturing it.
Yeah.
Then you actually go out, you get that fresh air.
Yeah.
You can feel the brisk. You're in there, you're fishing, and you
can actually feel the rod. Yeah.
And then you're hanging out with someone.
Nothing like the real.
It will never duplicate that. And if it does get to that point where we're duplicating that, then the question will be, why? And that's a question as a society we're going to have to ask. It's not something that I think each individual.
I'm not ready to answer it.
Nope. And I don't think it's going to be as bad as we think. But I think, like, imagine, we're in history class today and we're going to talk about the horrors of the Civil War. Now, all of a sudden, you have everyone put on goggles and they're actually at the War of Gettysburg. And they're seeing the atrocities. That's incredible. Like, that kid is going to be like, man, war.
Wow.
We don't want war.
But then, this is war.
The question I have isn't that. The question I have is, who programmed it? Because if all of a sudden they're changing history, and they're changing things that are in books,
which is actively a relevant topic,
right? And then I'm a huge Elon Musk fan. I think the guy is a freaking genius.
Same.
But that Neuralink scares the crap out of me. It's
as
terrifying.
soon as that's some red pill, blue pill stuff.
But I've worked in the medical field with nonverbal patients. And it is so difficult. We're not looking at somebody that speaks sign language. We're not looking at somebody who understands you and can write. We're looking at somebody that you're hoping that you're communicating the same way. The biggest thing you can do is keep calm with your voice, calm with how you're talking with them, help them out, and you're trying to just take a picture so you can see if they broke a rib. And it takes 2 hours, which should take 15 minutes, right? And I can see in those situations, if all of a sudden you could just and they're like, and they knew.
And they understand.
Okay. So I see that benefit and I go, wow, that's incredible. But I also go, if you can take something out or put something in, what stops you from taking something out? And that's where it terrifies me.
That's a scary place to be.
And that is where I kind of look at it and go, okay, I won't, again, if you know what Elon Musk's all about, I don't know if do you actually know what all of the advancements he's been trying to do. And I heard it. This is from one of his head guys at Tesla, one of his head guys at X-Force.
I'm waiting to hear something about him that I have trouble with, because so far, like, he's
crushing it, man,
crushing it.
His whole thing is
everything he touches is just gold.
He goes, his whole thing is I want to set up civilization on Mars. He wants to take and make it go to Mars. So the whole point of the lifts from flying up into the atmosphere, now you can go to Japan in an hour.
It's so wild.
Right, that makes sense. It's adaptation to its purest form.
Exactly.
Why wouldn't we be doing
Whereas 200 years ago, people would be like, you can fly from New York to LA in 3.5 hours? Get out of here. There's no way.
And so I think
and now it's commonplace.
Right? And so that totally makes sense. But he's doing that to get people used to going into space, getting used to that spot, so then they get used to travel. Well, the Neuralink, what is that really all about? Well, if you're moving super fast, reaction speed has to be extremely incredible. So if you can think it and you're reacting while you're thinking, then you're now able to control so much more. So it's much safer. So that my brain goes, wow, I totally understand the utility. This is an incredible advancement of technology.
As a tool.
And it is terrifying. Because
it can be an incredible advancement and terrifying at the same time, because it's a new space.
100% new.
It's a new space.
And I think
anything new, because we don't know yet, is scary. It's unknown.
Well, and it's going to be a matter of time. It's going to be a matter of time before somebody, all of a sudden, we're going to. Oh, you've ever heard of zombie walk?
No.
Oh, zombie walk. It's a huge thing that people do all around the world.
Except for me, because I live under a rock.
So what happens is people will get together and dress up like zombies, and they'll walk down the streets pretending to be dead. And they'll schedule it. It was a thing. I think it's still a thing. I have people that still do it. I think COVID kind of crushed it, but that was a thing. You would have like thousands of people until
you're in open carry, Arizona, and old Western farmers are like, not today, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, blah, blah. I thought I was stopping the apocalypse. They're like, no.
The apocalypse was happening. It was real.
Down in Mesa, Arizona. I blasted them zombies. Like, why am I going to jail? That's scary.
Grandpa, no.
Grandpa, no.
So, but that was a thing. But imagine all of a sudden they have Neuralink, and you can go zombie, and now everyone's brain actually turns off, and they're actually pretending. Like,
well,
I'm just saying that's what we're getting. We're getting to the point where I think that in the future,
scary tool.
You will decide. I had a dream But one day, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I had a dream.
No, I actually had this dream where I met somebody and I was talking with them. And as I talked with them, they went from a full woman to a full man with a beard to a small child to a bear back to a woman. And I remember seeing this and I was like, what the heck? And I remember it was like the world was very much like it was very, very much like Ready Player One. Mm-hmm. It was kind of sparse, like dirty, but not broken. It's not destroyed, but it was just dirty because no one was taking care of it. And I remember seeing that, and in the dream, I walked around with a flashlight, and I was shining it into broken windows, and seeing people terrified to go outside. And I was like, "Come on, let's go." And I totally, I believe that dream was super, super important for my life because it made me go, I have confidence in this. But what was crazy about it is that's where we're at as a society. You can be anything you want, and I think that is a true thought.
Yeah.
You can. Now, there are natural things, of course, that you cannot do, right? That 100%. Is life. Biology, can't change it.
Yep.
Sorry.
Exactly.
But what happens when all of a sudden you get something injected into your skin, and now all of a sudden you are a bat? You are a dog. You are a woman. You are a man. You are an alien. You are whatever you
or
may
a
be.
chip that's placed literally on your brain that makes you bark instead of speak.
And I think that it's ignorant for us to think that that's not going to become the case.
Yeah.
Because imagine if they go, hey, you know how your grandpa, he's losing cognizance, and you know how his brain isn't working? We can put a chip on his brain, and now grandpa is good.
Yeah.
All of the issues he's got mentally is going to go away.
Yeah.
And he's going to live an extra 50 years. Grandpa's going to say yes.
Grandpa's definitely going to say yes.
Because he wants to be with his grandkids.
Yeah.
I don't think that is evil.
No.
Now, the person in control of that going, oh, you know what? While grandpa thinks he's sleeping, I'm going to control his nervous system and make him break into a bank or whatever. I think
it's a scary. You start to, sit back and just think about where it could go.
Yeah,
scary place. But if you think back
of what it could do,
if you lean back and think about what it could do and how it could benefit,
incredible.
It's a great thing. Just like again, it's like anything.
Yeah,
it's a tool.
Yeah,
it can be used for good. It can be used for bad. It's the internet all over again, or the creation of the rifle all over again.
Yep.
It's anything can be used for evil.
Or
anything
good.
Can be used for good. Set up boundaries. Know foundationally what you stand for.
Absolutely.
So you're not just going to fall for anything. And then make sure your family's in a spot where everybody knows that they can have transparent,
honest,
meet you where you're at conversations, which unfortunately is, speaking to the two gals in the last couple of weeks, we're unfortunately going away from that. But when you set up those boundaries and you establish those boundaries, especially with your kids, like you and I as fathers, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
If the future sounds scary, we're gonna be okay. And that's the same conversation you could have had in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. And oh my God, the people in the 80s, like, all these new generations. Now it's us saying, all these new generations. And 50 years from now, they're gonna say, all these new generations.
Yep.
It's life. It's cyclical.
And our history won't be in textbooks. Our history will be on a digital file that'll be on the internet. And that's something you just have to live with. It's like, what happens if they read your life in a book? No one's going to read my life in a book. It's going to be on a Wikipedia, or when Wikipedia goes out and something new takes over.
Because that happens.
And the adaptation of all those things, I think we can't let fear decide how we move forward. 100%. But the only thing that ever scares me in any of these things is not the application. It is the moral compass of the individual. And if you are afraid, if you're listening to this and you're afraid that my life could be replaced by AI, okay, first off, you're more valuable than AI.
Amen.
Okay? And then maybe you're doing a job that's stupid.
Yeah.
Maybe you're doing a job that honestly you should be doing something else.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe you thought, I should open a bakery. AI is not going to know how to make food. You may teach a robot how to make it perfectly. But here's the thing, even if you were to take a robot and make it perfectly, you know how much of that is...
Oh, sure.
So much of that is the chef and how they go about it.
100%.
You can learn all the
100%.
science and still not make it perfect. It's like painting. A machine can make a carbon copy of any of Da Vinci's works. Can make a and then all of a sudden it's not the same though, because it's that's a duplication. They can only imitate.
Correct.
Right, and I think that we can't
be.
Allow them to determine our future. We determine that. And so if you feel like, oh no, the future, my job could be at stake, then dream bigger. Yeah. I think, and this is my final thought, because I could talk about this for hours, but my final thought on this is our life expectancy is going up. They just had information saying estimating the age of people to be up to 100 now, up to almost 120. That's what they're saying.
That's insane.
Okay, so if we
You're talking about with advancements
of
with the
everything,
younger generations by the time they get to those ages?
yeah. Well, they're even talking about with the medical advances that they have now.
That's wild.
That you and I could live to be 90 to 100 years old.
That's wild.
And that's becoming the new average.
Got it.
Okay. So that's kind of a crazy thought. But if we're getting to that point, then guess what? Midlife crisis, when we think of, oh, I've already done everything I knew how to do at 40, you're going to have that 3 times.
Yeah. I'm 80 after my second midlife crisis. Don't mind the red Corvette.
Which means, guess what? You get to dream bigger. You get to think larger.
Yeah.
You get to time is no longer, oh man, I've only got so long to live.
Yeah.
Now it's the sky's the limit. You're going to live.
Double and triple your impact.
I've been telling people I'm going to live. I love telling this. How old are you going to live? Oh, 150, 200 years. They're like, what? It's like, yeah. They're like, why? I was like, because I don't want that death to be a determination of how I live my life.
Yeah.
And so if you go, I'm going to live a long time, that means if it takes, 10,000 hours to become a master at something, okay, that's, 10 years? My math is probably way off of that.
And you've got 15 to 20 of those between 150 to 200 years.
Why can't we become Renaissance men? Why can't we learn the anatomy of the body and learn theoretical and theological terms? Why can't we learn science? And why can't we learn? The only reason we're not is because we don't think we can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Technology will never change that. It doesn't matter how advanced it becomes. If you don't think you can, you won't.
100%.
And so I look at it going, challenging me, going, sweet.
Yeah.
That's freeing up hundreds of thousands of people to now invest their power and create something that I never could have hoped or imagined.
Instead of just being some cog in some wheel in some factory with the digitization of how we're leaning, they're now physically not required to be there, which frees them up to go and intellectually invest back into themselves and become some greater version of themselves. I love that.
Within the next 10 to 20 years, I think we're going to have a huge technological and industrial boom. We're at a slump, and it's going to shoot up. It's just going to happen. No part of me is like, oh, we're all doomed. The zombie apocalypse.
No.
Nope. I think that when you know the word apocalypse means new knowledge, it's the result of new knowledge. So a nuclear bomb, that was an apocalypse. The results of what we saw in Hiroshima was the results of the new knowledge we got. Zombie apocalypse, what is that? Knowledge of new DNA that manipulated. So we are at a place where we're in an apocalypse of technology, of societal norms, of regular things, and everyone's nervous. Well, that's because we're in a huge shift, and things are going to blow up and become massive. And I think that if you think that we're at the end and this is all going to be over, I'm sorry, that's a bad way to live your life. Don't, because men in power will always talk about how they're going to do something, but they know that if they flip that switch, no one wins.
Correct.
And they want to keep you in a state of fear because you're easy to program that way. If you can understand that, then you can take information as of you decide whether it's good or bad, and you only can control what you got. You're gonna, the future's gonna.
You're gonna thrive because you know better.
Yeah, exactly.
You know better. Joe, I love you.
I love you too, my man.
Cheers, bro.
Take it easy. Thank you for checking out the Cam and Joe Show.
If you guys are liking our content so far, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also listen to us on Spotify.